All right, so first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you have the Rapsodo Diamond app downloaded on your iPad. And you're going to want to make sure that you are logged into your coach account. One thing that we do recommend before connecting your unit is to make sure that your account in the app is fully synced up. And in order to do that, you do need to be connected to real internet. And then tap the sync button inside of the app. This will just take about 30 seconds to maybe a minute for it to fully sync and make sure your whole account is updated. And once the arrow stops spinning, that means the sync is complete and we can start turning on the hardware. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is turn on the RCE with this power button. You just press it, and then what will happen is you'll start to hear the fan turning on, and then these 3 colored lights are really important. It's going to basically show us and tell us when the RCE is fully turned on and that it's connected properly. So you'll know that the RCE is fully turned on once we get 3 colored lights, and then we can move forward. Sometimes it'll take like 45 seconds to a minute. All right, there we go. So we have the 3 colored lights now, and then what we will do is take our monitor. So you'll take the pitching monitor, and then the micro USB cable. This is going to plug into the RCE and the monitor port. So the USB end is going to go into the opposite side of the RCE. It just plugs right in. And then we will take the monitor, open up the port back here, and plug this cable in. So then you're going to get a yellow light, and then you need to press the power button on the monitor in order for everything to connect. And so it might just take a second like it just did there, but what you're looking for once you turn everything on and before you connect is that you get green, blue, red on the RCE and then a green light on the monitor. So this is the color combination that you're wanting. Once we have this, we are able to start connecting to the iPad, but I would recommend first putting the hardware inside the tank. So what we'll need to do for that is grab the monitor clip. This will be separate from the monitor when you open up the hardware, but once you have it on, you do not necessarily need to take it off. This clip is going to screw into the bottom of the monitor. And so you want to make sure that it's centered and flush with the bottom of the monitor. This is what's going to make sure that it is tight and does not move inside the tank. So just as centered as possible. Make sure it's not nice and tight. Just like that. And if this is ever off, you might not be able to calibrate the unit. So this is one thing you want to check. So next we're going to place the technology inside of the tank. The RCE is going to be placed in here between the grooves. It fits nice right there. And then the monitor clip that we have here is going to go into this opening here. We have a dial that we want to loosen. That way you can slide in there and be as secure as possible. So we're going to slide that in. And then once we have it in there, we're going to tighten the dial. That way the monitor is nice and secure, doesn't move around, and then it should be centered looking out the hole in front of the tank. So this is good. And then we will slide the back plate over just for protection. You never want to use the units without the back plate on, just to keep it all safe. So that slides on. And for that, we are good to go now to grab the iPad. So once everything is turned on, you're going to start in iPad settings. And you will see a Rapsodo Wi-Fi signal populating. So this is going to say Rapsodo pitch, since it's our pitching unit, and then it will also display the serial number associated with the RCE. So we will connect to that. One thing to know is that it might say unsecured network or no internet connection when you connect to the Rapsodo signal, which is totally fine just because this is not real Wi-Fi or real internet connection, but as long as you have the blue check mark, you are good to go. And then next, we will go to the Rapsodo Diamond app. You're going to want to be on the Play tab in order to connect the unit. And then you can click the refresh button in the middle of the app to connect. So it will give you the processing wheel, and then you'll be able to see what we call session classifications populate. You will see here in the bottom right-hand corner that we have the device connection. We have the RCE here connected, and then the pitching monitor as well. And so this will show you the battery percentages of everything, so you can see and kind of keep track of that. And then the next step we are going to do is the calibration and setup process. Okay, so first you want to make sure that you measure out the proper mound distance for your pitcher. So we are going to do 60 feet 6 inches and measure that straight all the way out to the mound. All right, we'll just pull it a little bit. We're pretty close. All right, so we are good and straight at 60 feet 6 inches. All right, so now that we have the mound distance measured correctly, we will measure out the distance of the tank. So we will have the measurement starting at the front of home plate, and then the pitching tank is always 15 feet 6 inches from the front of the plate. So we're just gonna walk that out. And you want to make sure it's as straight as possible. And so the back of the pitching tank is where we're going to put it at 15 feet 6 inches, facing the mound. So one thing with pitching, you want to make sure that the camera and the monitor is always facing the mound, so it'll always be pointed this direction. Okay, so once you've measured the mound distance and placed the tank at the right spot, the next step is calibration. For calibration, you're going to hit the Devices tab in the Diamond app, and then the red Recalibrate button. There are two parts to the calibration process. The first one is to make sure that these angles are correct and in the optimal range. One key way to look at this is if the angles are green, you're good to go. If they are red, you need to adjust the monitor inside of the tank. So we do have 2 degrees of wiggle room on each side. So here in this example, we are good to go. And then the second part of this is calibration with the azimuth view. This basically shows what the monitor is seeing with a red line down the middle to make sure it's centered with the mound. So we are going to see here that the red line is off a little bit. Okay, so this red line, we basically need to adjust it to make sure that it's going down the middle of the mound. So I have a person standing here. You can put a bucket or a tee, but we're just going to slightly adjust the tank to get it centered. And a little bit goes a long way here, so you don't need to move it too much. But right now we are pretty much centered here, so we are good to go with the calibration process. We have green check marks on both sides, so we can click done. Okay, so once you're measured out and have the tank set up at the correct distance, you're going to first select the player profile from your roster and then select a session classification. These session classifications just help you keep your data organized. We are going to do high intent. And then once you're on the screen, you're basically ready to pitch. One thing you do want to make sure is that you have the proper mound distance selected before you start throwing. So we're at 60 feet 6 inches, so we will leave it at that, but make sure if you are working with younger athletes that you adjust that accordingly. You're ready to pitch. All right, so when you're ready to throw, you'll have the green light on the monitor, and then when you throw a pitch, it's going to turn blue. So you want to make sure that it goes back to green before you throw again. That means it's ready. On the Diamond app, you can also take iPad video. So if you swipe over, we'll have the ability to start recording a video with the iPad camera. You can just point it at your target, swipe back over, and then if you have the recording button up top, that means you're getting a video. Please feel free to contact our support team. You can send us an email to support@rapsodo.com, or you can give us a call at 844-772-7763.